Solitude in the snow. The blizzard roared outside, sending gusts of snow against the windows. Inside, Clara sat alone in her dimly lit living room, the only source of warmth coming from the crackling fireplace. She sipped on eggnog, attempting to shake off the unease that had settled in her stomach like a brick. As she gazed into the flickering flames, she heard a soft tapping coming from upstairs. She set down her glass and cautiously climbed the creaky stairs, her heart pounding with each step. The tapping grew louder as she approached a closed door to the attic, a room she distinctly remembered locking before her family left for their holiday trip. Trembling, she slowly opened the door and was met with a cloud of dust and memories. As she made her way towards a trunk in the corner, the tapping became more urgent. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid and was greeted by a swarm of moths and a porcelain doll. The doll's emerald eyes seemed to follow her every move as she reached out to touch its delicate features. Memories flooded back to her. Memories of this very same doll that she had cherished as a child, but had lost in a move long ago. Her unease turned to longing as she cradled the doll in her arms, feeling its weight and its lifelike features. This was no ordinary doll. It was a piece of her past that had mysteriously returned to her on Christmas Eve. As Clara's fingers closed around the old doll, a chill crawled up her arm, settling in her bones. She felt the weight of its gaze upon her as she lifted it from the dusty attic floor. Suddenly, a gust of wind slammed the window shut, and Clara's hand tightened around the doll as if seeking protection. When the moonlight filtered back through the window, she saw that the doll had moved. Its once serene face was now twisted into a grotesque grin, revealing rows of jagged teeth. A primal scream ripped from Clara's throat as she stumbled backward, hoping to escape the advancing doll. Its cold porcelain fingers dug into her skin, refusing to let go. In a moment of desperation, Clara clawed at its face until it shattered against the wall. But instead of relief, she was met with horror as the shards reassembled on their own, morphing into an even more sinister form. And the doll wasn't alone. Shadows came alive as other dolls emerged from the darkness, their grinning faces filled with malice. Clara found herself trapped in a macabre dance with these childhood nightmares, their clicking limbs and needle-like teeth closing in on her. She knew then that this was not an attack. It was a feeding frenzy. As they lunged at each other, growling and snarling, a blinding flash of light cut through the room. The front door burst open, sending a gust of snow and cold air into the attic, along with Clara's uncle, a grizzled hunter who had been alerted by her muffled screams. The dolls hissed and recoiled from the light, their porcelain faces twisted in anger. But her uncle was quick to react, his shotgun barking. The sound of gunfire mingled with the shrieks of the dolls, until finally there was silence. Exhausted, Clara collapsed into her uncle's arms, grateful for his warmth against the lingering chill. He explained that the dolls were cursed creations of a vengeful toymaker, their hunger fueled by fear and loneliness. Christmas was their time to reign when darkness was strongest and hearts were coldest. That's why her uncle always made sure to check on Clara, acting as a silent protector against the lurking shadows. Later, as she huddled by the fire, finally feeling its warmth seep into her bones, Clara rectified the chilling truth. She may have been alone in the attic, but fear wasn't just an external force. It could also fester within one's mind, like a porcelain doll waiting to shatter into a nightmare. As the Christmas lights twinkle and carols fill the air, Clara's mind is consumed with painful memories. The laughter and cheer surrounding her only served as a stark reminder of her fragile emotional state. With every smile she forced and every joyful moment she witnessed, she felt the weight of her fears pressing down on her like a suffocating blanket. She closed her eyes and whispered a desperate prayer for strength to face the demons haunting her during that supposedly joyous time. Gingerbread Dreams. In the quaint village of Frostfall, nestled amidst towering pines blanketed in snow, lived Millie. She was known as the Baker, with hands that shimmered with magic and a heart woven from cinnamon and dreams. Her gingerbread men were legendary, their button eyes and sugar-crusted smiles bringing joy to every Yuletide celebration. But this year, something had changed. Inspired by an ancient recipe found in a crumbling cookbook, Millie crafted a single, magnificent gingerbread man. He stood taller than any child, his features carved with an unsettling precision. 2 obsidian chips served as his eyes, glistening with an otherworldly sheen. This was no ordinary treat. It was a masterpiece, a living embodiment of Yuletide glee. However, beneath the sweet gingerbread glaze, something sinister stirred. The ancient recipe, whispered from long-forgotten tongues, had infused the dough with a dark magic, a hunger for something far more chilling than sugar. The gingerbread man, aptly named Frostbite, was not a friend, but a predator in disguise. On Christmas Eve, the first taste of his evil became evident. As Millie presented Frostbite to the eager village children, a chilling whisper slithered through the air. The gingerbread man's grating and raspy voice spoke of forbidden desires and secrets buried beneath the snow. Fear gripped the children as the laughter died in their throats. Oblivious to the darkness she had baked into her creation, Millie dismissed the strange occurrence as mere overactive imagination. But that night, her innocence met its demise as she dreamt of Frostbite. His smile twisted into a grotesque rictus, and his eyes burning with unholy fire. He spoke of a ritual, a sacrifice under the blood moon that would grant him eternal life and plunge Frostfall into an icy abyss. Sweat drenched Millie's forehead as she jolted awake from the nightmare. She tried to calm her racing heart, but a prickle of fear remained, thanks in part to Frostbite, whose obsidian eyes never wavered from her and seemed to hold a malevolent glint. "Tonight, Baker," Frostbite said, "prepare the offering." Panic seized Millie as she realized she had to stop Frostbite. But how? His flesh was made of gingerbread and impervious to ordinary blades. Desperate for a solution, she frantically searched the ancient recipe book passed down through generations. And there it was, a counterspell infused with peppermint and moonlight. As the blood moon rose, casting an eerie crimson glow on the snow, Millie prepared for battle. Fear threatened to choke her, but the thought of losing her village to Frostbite's wrath fueled a fire within her. She chanted the peppermint verse, her voice trembling yet resolute. Frostbite sensed his doom and lunged at Millie with all his might. She ducked, narrowly avoiding his gingerbread fist, as it smashed through the countertop instead. As Frostbite stepped onto the balcony bathed in moonlight, the peppermint spell took effect. His gingerbread skin crackled and flaked away, revealing a grotesque, pulsating mass beneath. With a piercing shriek that cut through the stillness of the night, Frostbite convulsed and melted into a black, viscous ooze before dissipating completely into the snow. The only sound left was a chilling silence that followed. As dawn broke, washing away the remnants of the nightmare, Frostfall awoke to an uneasy sense of peace. The memory of Frostbite will always linger, but it has become a chilling Yuletide tale. And Millie, forever scarred by the experience, continued her baking, creating treats that were now a touch less sweet and a touch more cautious. As the heavy snow fell outside, Millie sat in her cozy kitchen, surrounded by the comforting warmth of her oven and the sweet scent of freshly baked gingerbread. She hummed along to Christmas carols as she carefully shaped and decorated each cookie, lost in peaceful contentment. But as the night wore on and the winds grew stronger, a faint whisper crept through the cracks in her walls. It was a grating voice, chilling and unsettling, hinting at dark desires and gingerbread nightmares. A shiver ran down Millie's spine as she continued her work, attempting to push away the eerie feeling. Every year on Christmas Eve, Millie lights a peppermint candle, its invigorating scent filling the room and reminding her of the danger that lurks in the shadows. She never forgot the story of the gingerbread man, a cautionary tale passed down through generations in Frostfall. It served as a reminder that even the sweetest things could harbor darkness, and that magic could easily turn into something sinister. No matter how many times Millie bakes her gingerbread cookies with love and sincerity, she never forgets the unease that settled in her heart. The snow-kissed village of Frostfall held a dark secret, one that lingered in the air like a dense fog. As she kneaded the dough, she could almost hear the haunting laughter of the gingerbread man, his fiery eyes warning her to never let her guard down during Yuletide or risk falling victim to his twisted game. And so, with each batch of cookies, Millie vows to keep the darkness at bay, using every ounce of her willpower to resist its seductive lure. Nutcracker Nightmare. Hidden away in the abandoned attic of Carrion Keep, surrounded by dusty trinkets and peeling wallpaper, stood a lone nutcracker. Its ebony wood was worn and cracked, and its once painted smile had faded into a sinister leer. This was no ordinary toy, but a cursed object bound to the mansion, waiting to be unleashed upon the unsuspecting world. Amelia, a curious young woman invited to Carrion Keep for her eccentric uncle's annual Christmas gathering, felt an inexplicable urge to explore the attic. As she climbed the creaky stairs, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching her. And there it was, on a dusty shelf in the corner, the Nutcracker, its cold eyes fixed on her. Ignoring a shiver of unease, Amelia reached out to touch it. As soon as her fingers grazed its smooth surface, a loud crack reverberated through the room and the floorboards gave way beneath her. She tumbled into darkness, terror gripping her as she fell towards an unknown destination. Amelia hung precariously on the edge of a hidden trapdoor, her heart racing as she looked down at the dark abyss below. And then she felt it, a cold hand wrapped around her wrist, pulling her back from the brink. It was the Nutcracker. In a slithering voice, it whispered, "I saved you, girl. Now you must save me." Confused but desperate for answers, Amelia agreed to help. She followed the Nutcracker's cryptic instructions deep into the bowels of the mansion, navigating mysterious corridors. As she delved deeper into the heart of Carrion Keep, Amelia realized that this wasn't just a holiday retreat. It was a place of dark magic and ancient pacts, a mausoleum of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Maybe she was the key to unlocking them all. Their journey through the dark, twisting tunnels finally led to a hidden chamber. Amelia's flashlight revealed a macabre scene. Skulls arranged in a circle, candles casting flickering shadows on the walls. Her pulse quickened at the sight of the Nutcracker teetering on the rim of the ceremonial circle, its carved limbs tapping a sinister beat. Its voice hissed through clenched teeth, promising to grant her deepest desire if she released it from its prison. Amelia's mind clouded with longing for a childhood wish that had never been fulfilled. She chanted the ancient words taught to her by the Nutcracker, her desperation overpowering any sense of reason. The air crackled with electricity, and the walls groaned in protest as the Nutcracker pulsed with an unholy light. The wooden fiend then shattered into 1,000 dark feathers. Emerging from the debris was a tall figure with burning eyes and a chilling smile. Krampus, the Lord of Shadows, was somehow free from his wooden tomb. Krampus leaned in closer to Amelia, his inhumanly wide smile revealing rows of razor-sharp fangs. "You wished for a family Christmas, did you not?" he rasped. With a sickening realization, Amelia understood that her wish had been granted by the Lord of Shadows himself. With a snap of his staff, Carrion Keep trembled and transformed. The once festive decorations twisted and warped into cages made of thorny vines, trapping Amelia and the other guests. Their joyful laughter turned to terrified screams as they too evolved into aberrant creatures, destined to be Krampus's playthings for eternity. Amelia, trapped in her own twisted desires, could only watch in horror as the mansion morphed into a macabre Christmas spectacle, the atmosphere filled with the echoes of Krampus's laughter and the cries of his damned guests. The once charming Nutcracker lay in shattered fragments, a grim reminder of the true horrors that lurked in the shadows. Its broken pieces served as a chilling warning that even the most innocent of objects can harbor sinister intentions. As Krampus's chaotic Christmas celebration raged on, Amelia stood alone amidst the chaos, transformed into a living nightmare by secrets unearthed and wishes granted by a malevolent force. The mere sight of her a reminder of the dangers involved in exploring the unknown depths.